Well, good afternoon. Today is August 18th, 2025, 6 o'clock p.m. version of Rowan County Board of Commissioners. We are glad that you're here with us today. We hope you find your time fruitful. We're going to begin as we always do. We're going to have our chaplain come forward. Chaplain is going to provide for us what's called a solemnizing prayer. We define that every time to tell you that that's not for you guys. It's for us because I guess we're politicians. We actually admit that we don't know it all. And so we look for wisdom because we believe that wisdom is better than even knowledge. And so as we gain knowledge tonight, we're going to ask our chaplain to come forward and pray for wisdom for us that we'll make good decisions on behalf of all the folks of Rowan County. After that, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance. And so, commissioners, if you'll join me, we'll get started.
Mr. Chairman, before we pray, sometime after we pray, could you give us an update on our brother Mike Caskey? We hadn't heard anything about him lately. We appreciate it. Thank you, commissioners. Let's pray. Lord, I'm thankful to be here today. I'm thankful for life itself, Lord. Thankful for the county commissioners and what they do, dear Lord. I do thank you for all the time they put in, Lord, the dedication they have for this county, dear Lord. I pray you'll bless this county, Lord, and pray you'll give them the wisdom they need to make the right decision, not only tonight, but the days ahead. On our prayer request in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chaplain Taylor. We appreciate you being, we appreciate you being here, right? Give us a head nod, yeah? All right, we appreciate you. Before we go any further, I have good news to share. Commissioner Mike Caskey is stateside again. So he is back in the United States. He is is not in North Carolina. I won't say where he is, but he's back in the States, and hopefully we'll be traveling back to Rowan County in the next week. So we are grateful for God's protection over him, and look forward to certainly he being back with his family. I know that he is, and we're just grateful that he returned to us safely. All right, let's see here. I've got some additions to make. First addition is to approve a resolution declaring the intent to participate in the CPACE program. We'll set a public hearing. This will set a public hearing for September 2nd, 2025. That'll be consent item AA. Second one is CHB medical, inmate medical services item. We'll make that consent item BB. And then the third is an HCCBG contract agreement for fiscal year 26. We'll make that consent item CC, C's and cat. Those are the three that I have. Does anyone have any other additions or deletions we need to know of? All right, then do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, commissioners. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, then do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, then we have public comment period. We have Todd and Mary Wilhelm. If you'll come forward. Yeah, come on forward. Welcome. We're glad that you're here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for allowing us to speak to you for a moment. Thank you. I'm here tonight as a resident of Rowan County. We currently live in a subdivision of Rowan County that is currently not a state-maintained road. 5 years ago, we purchased a lot and built our present home in this development. Before we signed, the developer wrote and signed a letter in good faith that they would be responsible for maintaining the roads until they could be taken over by the state. Currently, there are plenty of houses. We have had the state come out and do a assessment of the roads of what needed to be done to be taken over. And we currently have, not approval, but what we need to do. After correspondence back and forth with the developer, individually and collectively by the neighborhood, they've made it clear that they have no intentions of bringing the roads up to standards due to the large cost on their part. Another neighbor contacted DOT. They were sent out, as I said, and she was also sent a copy of this. Their response was to ignore it. We've had neighborhood meetings, and the developer has chosen not to attend. Our question for the board is, what recourse do we have as taxpaying citizens in this county to get the developer to do as promised? Speaking personally with a person at the county DOT office, we understand that this is a common issue in the county and state, and we would encourage the board to be responsible for bringing these developers, to be able to hold them responsible to finish these developments before moving on to another project, to be able to bring it up to state standards. Safety is one of our main concerns. There have been large potholes to be formed and had to be fixed by neighbors out of their own pockets. Delivery trucks speed through our neighborhood at rates you would expect to see on main roads, but currently speed limits aren't enforceable. We have children riding bicycles, families on golf carts with blind spots through the neighborhood. Most of them are due to unkept lots, which developer owns, and not being mowed and trimmed back. We have current culverts in certain areas that are beginning to dip, and if they collapse, there are a large number of residents in the neighborhood that would be unable to receive emergency assistance if they can't get up that road. We're just requesting assistance and or guidance in this matter of what can be done to get the developer to bring the roads up to state standards for the state to take it over.
What subdivision is this?
It is Burtwick Park subdivision off Burtwick Park off of Old
Burtwick?
Burtwick.
Spell it for me.
BIRTWICK Park off of Old Beatty Ford Road. BIRTWICK. Burtwick.
All right, thank you.
very much.
Mhm. All right, that's all we have for public comment. All right, we'll move on then. Scott? We don't have a presentation. No, not special. Yeah, Scott? Yeah, come on up, Scott. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioners, for hearing this request from Fortius Capital Partners regarding the land purchase of some land at Granite Industrial Park. As some of you may know, Fortius is a Concord-based developer. They are very active in the Charlotte region, and they are also the group that successfully redeveloped the old Intimidator Stadium. It's now Lakeshore Business Park. Chick-fil-A Supply and Rebel are now occupants of 2 of those 3 buildings, with 1 still available. Here is what Lakeshore looks like today. Again, it was the old ball field. So Fortius has submitted an offer to the county to purchase about 23 acres of county-owned land in the Granite Industrial Park off of Hollig Road at the end of Shamandy Drive. It's identified as parcel 403199. There it is on the map. You see it's just past the Gildan building at the end of the cul-de-sac, past Imperial and past what will be Jabel here in about a year's time. So some of the details of my presentation were written before the agenda deadline. We didn't have the full picture. I know you guys have some of that now. We can certainly talk about that in greater detail, but the company's offering $466,416 for the property. That's about $20,332 per acre. Now, the current tax value for the property is $726,739. So Compare that, it's $31,680 per acre versus $20,332 per acre. And Fortius is also pledging to begin construction within 5 years. If not, the county has the option to buy the land back at the original purchase price. And if acquired, Fortius intends to build multiple commercial or industrial buildings on the property. It could be as many as 3. According to my conversations with them, this is to address a certain need in the market in the Charlotte region for buildings that offer outdoor storage, room for equipment, and also, I guess, advertising or placement of property and products outside. And once completed, the buildings would be either leased or sold to other businesses, with the expectation of jobs being part of that new business. And this is just one conceptual of what they're talking about doing. You see there at the end of Shamandi, 3 buildings in varying sizes, and they could be combined into 2 or split into 3. Again, it's just a conceptual for right now. So once it's done, Fortius estimates the completion of the project will improve the taxable value of the property by at least $9 million. And what I've been told is construction will begin in late spring of next year, and the construction on all buildings, whether it's 2 or 3, will run concurrently. So, and we can talk again about the details, but normally request to purchase county-owned land is subject to the upset bid process, but the client and the EDC are requesting that the commissioners consider conveyance of the property using general statutes for economic development purposes, which allows for private negotiation of the land sale. And I ran some numbers for you in your packet. That was just based on the $9 million of taxable improvement to the property, and of course based on the current tax rate. And with construction being done by the end of next year, that would lead to about $522,000 in new revenue for the county over 10 years. And again, I want to kind of get into the details a little bit more. I may have to defer to other people on this, but just so the board knows too, we do have representation here from Fortius. Mr. Harris Morrison's in the crowd as well to show his support for the project. And I'll again defer to Mr. Dees and others on this, but my understanding is they would put $15,000 down in earnest money, and the contract would allow for 9 months of due diligence on the property. They would have the option to extend the due diligence for another 6 months with the addition of $10,000 more in earnest money. And there'd be a closing within 45 days after due diligence is done. And then again, we mentioned how the land sale offer is $466,000, but the value is more like $727,000. So I guess there would be a certain degree of seller financing for that difference, that $260-some-thousand. Sorry, Mr. Dees, could you kind of speak to that, how that would be foregone after, I guess there'd be 2 phases to that?
Yeah, the note forgiveness, and they've got a term sheet that I've handed out to all the board. So, yeah, Scott's right, and Scott, I'm sorry, I've got a copy here for you that just came in, but yeah, the purchase price would be $20,332 per acre, approximately 22.94 acres. Total purchase price $466, or cash paid $466, $416.08. Earnest money deposit $15,000. Due diligence for 9 months. They do have an option to extend. They would release the $15,000 earnest money and put in a new $10,000 for the extension, closing within 45 days. The additional purchase price would be about $260,322.92, which would be the deferred amount. We would have a promissory note from the developer promising to pay that $260,322.92, payable within 5 years. That's a term consistent with Easter Creek. If you remember Easter Creek on the adjacent parcel, there was a 5-year term there. The first half of the seller financing would be forgiving when they complete the building. And like we did with Easter Creek, the second or the final portion of the seller financing would be forgiven when they bring in a tenant to occupy the building. And this, and to a question that Commissioner Pierce has raised earlier, all of these economic development grant agreements are required to have clawback provisions, and so if nothing happens within the 5 years, the typical clawback for a real property purchase would be that we buy it back for the purchase price that they've paid us in cash. If they don't do anything within the 5 years and we don't extend it for some reason. So there will be a clawback in this. And then we did discuss, I think as well, a final agreement would probably also include some language that this is the singular grant agreement for this project. We'll work out that language. You know, they may come back with a bigger project and would be eligible to ask for some more, but we would sort of make it clear that this is the grant agreement for this project. And once the building's finished and a tenant comes in, they wouldn't be eligible for anything else. I think that covers about everything. So total purchase, yeah, go ahead.
So I can give a little background on this. I think there needs to be some background laid. This industrial park we call Granite Industrial Park. When Gildan down there was built years ago, there was this land left over that the county owned. And so, Scott, maybe you know what year, it was probably 2014, 2015.
Right.
We went to the state and the EDC and the county, and we came up with a plan to put a singular road down through there, create an industrial park. So we did that, and so the state paid for this industrial park. And so since then, we've had one building built, and then it's set. So it's set since 2015. And so after Fortius had completed their project down at the side of the old ball field in Kannapolis, got into conversations with them, wanting to do more here in Rowan County, and so we pointed them to Granite Industrial Park, and frankly, we've been disappointed that that hasn't taken off, and we've showed it quite a bit, but we just haven't hit on it. So they've expressed interest to do quite a bit in there. The first project that they wanted to do was these three buildings, and we told them to incentivize beginning to build this park out, will provide a incentivized purchase price on the land. And so that's what this is. I didn't see any, did you have numbers in here of the initial investment?
It would be at least $9 million of taxable
At least $9
improvement.
million. And if it comes in below that, also part of the agreement would be that any incentive agreement that we reach with them would be reduced on a pro rata basis. So how did we come up with the 20,000, whatever that number is, 2332? We spent a lot of time on the phones, some of us really trying to back into that number. And that number is based on the investment of $9 million, how much that would bring back to the county each year, and then the bottom line is we wanted to spur growth in that industrial park, but the county not lose anything by doing that. And so that $20,332 is the price per acre that we would need to do in order to sell it to them below what the tax value is, but the return on that investment of at least $9 million would make the county whole. So if that makes sense, that's what that is. If their investment amount had been 15 or 20 million, that 20,000 may have been a lower number. But this is a number we worked on to make sure that the county would be whole in this, but also to begin to spur investment in that park. So that's where that number came from. Right. Any questions?
I've got a question. I can't read this map very well here, and I'm sorry. It's my fault. Do they have frontage back to the road that we built in there?
Yes,
I was
they do.
thinking that there was, yeah, that's the road that they're buying down
Yeah, Mr. Green, if you look at the map right there, they do have frontage along Shamandi in the cul-de-sac.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
We're good.
I was thinking that we had sold that lot right there. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Scott? All right, then we will have a public hearing. I'll open up the floor to any comments if anyone would like to talk about this project with us. All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve Project Granite?
Who moved? Second.
All right. Any other discussion? This has been slow moving, then fast moving. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Harrison, thank you for coming. I didn't acknowledge you. I'm sorry. These guys have invested a lot in Rowan County and looking forward to even more. So we appreciate you investing in Rowan County. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming. All right, next item is FSW 03-25. Shane, welcome. Enjoying the air conditioning?
Hope to be soon. All right, so we don't have too many of these, but this is a family subdivision waiver. Applicant Tammy Jordan. So go back about nearly 10 years ago, her father, Ronald Jordan, his last will and testament was going to leave her the property you see outlined in blue here. It's about 1.5 acres piece, and 2 years after the will was executed, Miss Jordan received the deed, and it actually had a subdivision of land where it split the property in the red and yellow areas. I think she wasn't really aware of what occurred, but fast forward 3 years later in 2020, I believe staff became aware that there was a listing for a lot for sale. I believe it was this one here, and some of the neighbors called because this is a private road in a sort of an exclusive neighborhood. And after looking into it, realized that this split occurred by deed and not with the survey through our office. So long story short, Pleasant Cove Road here, this is a private road too, and that blue lot had access to Pleasant Cove. In order to approve a family subdivision as staff, it has to be a conveyance between immediate family members. So Miss Jordan did have a cousin, I believe it was, that was going to receive the deed, and therefore in 2020 was going to petition a family waiver to the board. Things fell through and waited a few years. Fast forward to last month, I think, with Miss Jordan's working with their attorney, they conveyed the lot to this yellow lot in the back to her aunt, Emery Deal. Also, in fairness to the property owners, it sounded like everything was complete. They're working through the attorney, but when they came in the office, found out it was not. So the purpose of this meeting here would be a family waiver where staff can only approve a conveyance and subdivision of land to an immediate family member. This would be from a niece to an aunt. So actually, Miss Deal already owns this by deed, this yellow lot here in the back. But this is the first step in taking care of everything. So if the board considers the waiver request, we can move into a staff, the subdivision proposal. And in meeting with these nice ladies, which both, by the way, are here tonight in case the board has any questions, I think they didn't understand what was happening. They sought advice from those attorneys that were helping them through, and it just got kind of jumbled up. So with that said, the specific request, Ms. Tammy Jordan requesting the family waiver to convey this parcel 644-169 in the 400 block of Pleasant Cove Road to her aunt, Emery Deal. In the family subdivision waiver evaluation process, there's 4 criteria. I think, unless the board has questions about 3 through 4, I think they speak for themselves. But if this is approved, then there's a few things that will need to occur. One, they need a proper land survey. Survey the property boundaries to monument existing and proposed corners. This corner right here, there's no monumentation. And it was more of a desktop review during that deed to create this 70, I think it was a 71-foot dimension. But it has to be properly documented. The red area is about 0.55 acres. She will need to provide a 20-foot easement per the ordinance for legal access to the yellow lot. That, therefore, will move this line back further to create a compliant 20,000 square foot lot. Both property owners are aware of that and are willing to make this work per the ordinance. So that will provide the access point. The address will come off Pleasant Cove Road. Staff did receive several calls, and most of the folks are just curious about access. Will it come from Lighthouse? Will anything impact their property? And staff addressed those. So I don't think any of the public are here, but we'll need to open it up for any public comment. But again, this line would move back to make a compliant lot, a 20-foot easement, and a conveyance and waiver from niece to aunt. And again, on the bottom of page 3 of the staff report, I have specifically those comments. Submit final plat per the subdivision ordinance, establish the easement for legal access to serve lot 169, and then adjust that common lot line to make these lots compliant. Any questions?
All right, we'll open the floor to public comment. Anytime we're doing one of these family subdivision waivers, we have to open up for comment in case anyone wants to speak on it. Seeing none, we'll close public comment period. We do have someone. Tammy, where's Tammy? You want to speak? Okay. All right, that's fine. Jane, she said you explained it well. All right. All right. On page 3, we have the staff comments. So assuming they comply with recommendations from staff, of making that a requirement, do we have a motion to approve FSW 0325?
So approved.
All right, and a second? Second. All right, second. Any other discussion? All right, then all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Aaron, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, we have request Z1124 from RA to CBI CD for an automobile towing with storage. The applicant and owner is Jeremy Good. His property is at 1124 Majolica Road, parcel 451-058. The parcel 451-058 is a 21-acre parcel. It's currently zoned rural agricultural. On the property, there's a double-wide manufactured home at the front, and then towards the back, there's an approximately 7,500 square foot shop. So some background information on this property. This was within the Salisbury ETJ until 1999 when they rescinded it. And when it was brought into countywide zoning, it was zoned rural agricultural. So it's had the RA designation the entirety of zoning. The existing shop was constructed in 2001 as a 3,700 square foot metal fabrication shop that was permitted as a home occupation. Sometime between 2014 and 2018, the shop was expanded to 7,500 square feet without permits. The current owner, Jeremy Good, purchased the property in December of 2023, and then they began working with planning staff to permit a new rural home occupation for an auto mechanic shop, used car sales, and towing operation. The applicant never finished going through site plan review to get the use permitted, and so there was no zoning permits issued. Later in January, planning staff received a complaint of multiple junk cars on the property and investigated. After site inspection, the property was found to be in zoning violation for dead storage of motor vehicles. Staff met with Jeremy Good in February to discuss compliance options. So we sat down with them and then discussed that the potential business operations out there would be automotive repair, automotive retail sales, automotive record services, including dead storage, and then motor vehicle parts use, so like a potential scrapyard. Two of those uses, the dead storage of automobile vehicles and the used motor vehicle parts, required an industrial zoning with a special use permit. So Jeremy Good opted to rezone the operational area of that site from RA to industrial. So this went to the planning board in July of '24, and at the planning board meeting, they voted to deny the request from RA to industrial. But during the deliberations, they talked about how they didn't feel that industrial was appropriate, but the specific use itself, which was the primary use of the property the applicant was seeking, the towing with storage of the cars, they thought might have been appropriate. But there wasn't a process to specifically look at that. There wasn't a conditional district they could have gone to apply for that use. So before this went to the Board of Commissioners in the August meeting, it was tabled, and we instead went with a text amendment to allow for a conditional district option for this use. So staff drafted ZTA 0324, which defined automobile towing with storage, and it gave the option for this use to be considered through a conditional district rezoning process or as a special use in industrial. This text amendment went to the planning board in September, was approved by the Board of Commissioners in November, and then ratified in December of 2024. After the text amendment was adopted, Jeremy Good was informed that he could amend his request to go from, instead of requesting industrial, he can now request a CD rezoning for automotive towing with storage, and this required the development of a site plan and amending the application. So this application has been amended, it's going to the planning board, and now is finally got before you all today. As worth mentioning in the meantime, this property is still technically in violation of the ordinance since no permits have been issued, but a stay on enforcement action has been occurring since rezoning was applied for back in 2024. So here's the site plan. This is the first page of the site plan. There's not a whole lot to this part. This is basically just outlining the 7 acres of the property that's the operational area that's being requested to be rezoned. Now this is the close-up of the site plan. This actually shows the operational area and the improvements. So the big things you're going to notice on there is that surrounding the 7-acre operational area is the required screening from the conditional district requirements. And that's going to be a row of evergreen conifers that's 5 feet on center that grows to 6 feet in height, along with a 6-foot opaque fence. Some things to notice is that it's a little bit hard to see on here, but the screening, the fencing, and the trees do alternate sides depending on the portion of the site that they're on. That was something to do with existing fencing there, that they couldn't fit trees on their side of the property line. So during the planning board meeting, it was mentioned that that could be a requirement to have all the screening on one side of the fence, but that wasn't specifically a condition of approval. Other things to look at on the site plan is we have the building here, we have the parking area for the towing vehicles and the employees. To the back here is a smaller fenced-in towing lot. We have the entrance to the operational here, and then pretty much the rest of everything is storage area for the vehicle. You will see the Colonial Pipeline does run through the property. The applicant has talked to the pipeline, and they've informed him that, or at least he's informed us that they are fine with having the trees and the fencing going across their pipeline there, as that was something that we kind of pointed out, and they said that they had the okay to go with that. Before we move on, do you have any questions for the site plan itself?
Aaron, I don't think I caught the gas pipeline. Did you say that there could be parking over the top of it?
Yes, they talked to the pipeline. Their biggest concern is that they couldn't have heavy equipment on there, so like dump trucks or like excavators, things like that. But they could park just the general, regular vehicles.
So there wouldn't be any vehicle stacking?
Right, they'd be all level. So here's some photos of the site. Now, these photos are a little bit dated. These are from 2024. But it still gives a good representation of what extent the operational area is. So that's right here, this is the existing shop building. You can see they kind of this is where they keep their towing vehicles at. And then further down here, you can see they have some dirt storage areas, some general grass storage, and they basically have the entire operational area filled up with cars that have been towed in. Then the fencing here kind of gives you an outline of what that 7 acres looks like.
Is there currently fenced?
It is, the entire area is not fenced yet. They didn't need to fence it since they haven't been approved for a zoning permit yet, since they're still going through this process. But should this be approved, they would have to fence this entire area. So we move on to the plans and policies. This property is located in Area 2 of the Western Area Land Use Plan. Area 2 recommends medium-density residential development. The Rowan Cabarrus MPO thoroughfare map identifies Majolica Road as a minor thoroughfare, and rural businesses in a neighborhood business district are generally considered appropriate along minor thoroughfares, and this request does not fall into that category. The Western Area Land Use Plan identifies US 29 and US 70 industrial corridors as areas that may be appropriate for heavy impact uses, and this is not one of those corridors. The consistency with the zoning district, commercial business industrial. The zone allows for a wide range of commercial business and light to medium industrial activities, which support both the local and regional economies. The CBI district is generally appropriate in areas identified by an adopted area land use plan that recommends highway business along identified NC and US highways, community, regional, and potential development nodes, commercial corridors, and existing commercial areas. Areas served by public water and sewer represent significant public investment, foster tax-based growth and employment opportunities for the citizens, which could be served through the CBI designation. And then the CBI district may also exist or be created in areas other than what's listed in the subsection if the existing and proposed development is compatible with the surrounding area and the overall public good is served. So moving along, right now the current RA designation is mostly a residential designation. All the uses here that you see, from construction to services, those are rural home occupations, so live on the site. You can have up to 10% as a home occupation. And then the requested district, the only thing that's going to be allowed in that area is the automobile towing with storage. So just to kind of give a reminder of what that is, we defined automobile towing with storage with the text amendment. So the only use that would be allowed in this operational area is automobile towing with storage. And that's a facility which provides both automotive towing services and accessory outdoor storage of towed vehicles, kept within an operational area until either being returned to the owner, moved to another site to be sold, repaired, or scrapped. So essentially, you have tow trucks there, and you have an area outdoors that you can keep the towed vehicles. But this is only storage of the vehicles. This isn't for them to be scrapped there. This isn't for them to be crushed there. It's the vehicles are stored there until they're moved off-site to their final destination. Now, there are two standards along with that are required as a CD rezoning. One is that the operational area must be screened in accordance with section 21-215-1, consisting of an opaque fence. And then, unless an alternative screening measure is approved, also requires screening from section 21-215-1B1. What essentially that means is that the operational area requires an opaque fence. And then the board may approve not having the vegetative buffer, but otherwise, if the board doesn't allow them to not have a vegetative buffer, they need to have both a fence and a vegetative buffer. And then the second requirement is that all towed vehicles or any defined as junk motor vehicles shall be kept within the fence operational area, and those vehicles can only be stored for a maximum of 6 months. So just going back here to the site plan, just kind of reiterating, so that's why there's both the evergreen buffer and the opaque fence surrounding the entire 7-acre operational area. And then pretty much everything outside of this general parking area here is open to storage. So they can fill that up with as many cars as they can fit in there. And the requirement there is that it's a maximum of 6 months that any individual car could stay there. So going to look in the vicinity. So this is off of Majolica Road here. We have a lot of residential uses along the road. The two biggest neighbors to this property are going to be the Oakland Meadows Manufactured Home Park, which is a 71-lot manufactured home park in the county's jurisdiction. And then there's a planned 94-lot subdivision in the Salisbury ETJ that is under development, but nothing has been constructed yet. It's still in the planning phases. So kind of backing out there a little bit, you can see the eastern side of the road is in the city of Salisbury, and then the western side of the road is generally in the county jurisdiction. So most of the county uses in the vicinity are going to be all zoned RA, the exceptions being the manufactured home park to the south. You have Rowan Wildlife Shooting Range to the north here. Off of Sherrills Ford Road, there's a vet clinic that's existed since prior to zoning. And there also is a brick manufacturer a little bit further down past the shooting range that's in the Salisbury zoning, just inside the city limits of Salisbury there. So taking a look at the potential impacts on facilities, Majolica Road has a capacity of 11,300 trips a day. And as of 2022, it's at 2,000. SRU does have a water line going down Majolica Road. And then the Colonial Pipeline does go through that property. And like I said, we've reached out to them. They're not concerned with cars themselves being parked on there. As long as the equipment is not parked on there, they didn't have an issue. So this request went to the planning board in June. And the planning board had a few questions for the applicant about the operation of the business. And some of the things that kind of came out there were that there wasn't a specific licensing requirement that they had for the state needed for one of these yards. They said typically they have between 200 and 250 cars on site, and that cars generally remain on site for upwards to 6 months. And then one thing that did come out is that the applicant said that they were willing to move the screening trees if that was a requirement. However, that was not put into the final recommendation by the planning board. So during the courtesy hearing, one person spoke in opposition. Daniel Pierce was the manager of the adjoining manufactured home park. He spoke to some cars on the site as it is now being there to longer than 6 months. He also mentioned that there was a fire on the site and that some of that damage to some of the property in the manufactured home park, and he shared some of those photos with the planning board. So ultimately, at the end, the planning board voted to approve the rezoning and adopted the following statement. And they didn't have any specific conditions that went along with that that was above what the CD district requirements were. So as far as staff comments, if the board finds this to be appropriate, extra scrutiny should be applied to the statements to justify the location of this use against the recommendations of the land use plan. I think it's worth the board should consider the merits of this request the same as they would had this request been made prior to the business. So just having the existence of the business there shouldn't affect the decision one way or the other. To look at the appropriateness of the use for that location. This is a conditional district rezoning request, so the board can ask for mutually agreed upon conditions with the applicant to mitigate any kind of adverse impacts on adjoining properties. Yeah, you could look at things such as decreased operational areas, increasing setbacks, could increase screening standards. Fortunately, if that is something you want to look into today, the applicant couldn't make it out today, so it would need to be tabled to another day to discuss potential conditions if you'd like to go that route. And then just one last thing is that this is still in violation of the zoning ordinance. There hasn't been any enforcement action for the entirety of this process, so there hasn't been fines levied. The business has been able to operate normally, but it is still a zoning violation that until the decision's been made on this rezoning, will continue to be in that kind of limbo. Then procedurally, we're looking at conducting a legislative hearing, adopting statements, and then approve or denying or tabling the request. I'm here for any questions. The applicant was unable to make it. He does have a business partner, John Autry, who was able to come out here for some questions.
Aaron, do you have a satellite picture of this property?
The closest I got is, we could pull up the county GIS and we could show the 25.
Yeah, this helps. So you can point on this picture where exactly, it's just such an odd parcel.
Yeah.
So you got the 7 acres, that's pretty compact.
Yeah, so the operational area, I think it'd be easier to, so these are the property lines here, and the operational area is pretty much the middle trunk of this property. So he does have some land that kind of goes in behind here that's not part of the request, and the front part of the property with the double wide is not part either.
Okay, but he owns that land.
Yes, he owns all that.
But he owns the land.
Right.
My concern is that once that original piece of land we're looking at to rezone gets full, the things start to spill out. And I'm especially concerned about the fact that he is still in violation from original violations. And my question is specifically, what have been the consequences of the violations? Has it been monetary or?
So they applied for the rezoning pretty soon after they got their initial notice of violation. And once they started the rezoning process, it put all that on hold. So they hadn't been levied any fines, and they hadn't had to pay anything. But if this were to be approved or denied, then we would go back to enforcement. So if it's approved, they would then need to get a zoning permit to get out of violation. If it's denied, then they'd have to look at starting to remove things or be penalized.
So you can be out of compliance And if somebody reports you and you guys show up, you can real quick go in and put an application and change. And
Right.
that stops the violation.
Yeah, it's pretty, it doesn't happen a whole lot, but if somebody starts a use without permits and it needs to be rezoned, because one of the mitigations is that zone it to be compliant, which is what they're looking to do here. But they have to get the chance to go through the rezoning process before they can be determined if that works to get into compliance. So essentially, applying for the rezoning is the applicant's way of working towards compliance with the ordinance.
Is there any, since there was a fire, is there any plan for fire suppression on the property, especially with all those cars with gas tanks?
I don't believe they have any gas tanks out there, at least it's not identified on the, like, actual fueling tanks for their vehicles, or are you talking about in the
In the
car?
vehicle?
Yeah, there would be gas tanks in the vehicles, because he tows the vehicles
Yeah, you know,
from sites.
but since there are vehicles and they do have gas in them, does he have a plan for fire suppression since he's already had a fire on his property?
There hasn't been anything specifically disclosed to us about that.
All right, any questions for Aaron? All right, and you said the applicant is not here, but he had a partner that was here. Would the partner like to speak? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, come on. State your name and address.
Sorry, John Autry, I'm the manager there at the location.
Okay.
Mr. Good is out of town, he had a family emergency, he should be back midweek, I do apologize. We didn't know until Friday, he got an email late, so he'd already made plans to step out of town.
I'm sorry. Anything you'd like to talk about
So-
with the board?
I know they were concerned about the fire, like we addressed on the last meeting. The fire was actually a natural disaster. There were some power lines that run between us and the mobile home park, and the lines were too close to the big tree that's there. Somehow the wind caught things, got them all tangled up, and it arced against the tree and caught the tree on fire. It was nothing to do with the vehicles on our site. As far as like a fire suppression, I know that was like a concern. Again, these are cars that have just been either in an accident, wrecked, towed in, abandoned, stuff like that. It'd be no different than 10 cars parked in a Walmart parking lot. We don't go out and grind on them, cut on them, produce any sparks, nothing like that. It's just physically storage of cars. I've never seen one just spontaneously combust or anything like that from just sitting in the field. We haven't had that problem. So, I don't know. Yeah, something. Is there any other questions possibly? Or?
Any questions for him?
Yeah. Okay, so you say you're going to keep the cars for about 5 to 6 months.
It's rare that they stay there that long. Again, we have towing contracts with Rowan, Salisbury Police Department, 4 different big major law, enforcement groups.
Yeah,
So-
okay, so what exactly goes on with the cars once they arrive on your property?
So when the car arrives, it gets put in the immediate right behind the building. There's actually a fenced-in pen there and then some storage back there. Most of these are accidents. People get into a wreck or
Yeah.
something like that. They come clean out their belongings. Sometimes they will bring a title and say, we don't want the vehicle, can't afford to fix it. Sometimes it takes them 3 months to get money together to come pick their vehicle up, or the insurance company to come and remove them to take them to auction, stuff like that. So immediately they come in and go kind of behind the building. If they are deemed after 90 days that they're pretty much abandoned, nobody's coming back for them, they would go out in the front part. Typically 2 to 3 times a year, we have to do the crush, get rid of unabandoned, vehicles, so that we're not filling the place up. So typically 2 to 3 times a year, there's a company that we haul them to and basically they flatten them, do the rest, and send them to China, I guess, for metal. But
So they're flattened off your site?
typically, within 90 days, we either have custody of the car, paperwork showing, hey, they're not coming, you can keep it, do as you please with it, dispose of it. There is certain cases, like in a fatality accident, where lawyers want to see this, that, and the other. I've had a car that took 8 months to get out of there because everybody kept coming and taking pictures and pulling data and stuff like that. So it's rare, but there is a few instances where stuff may, but generally 6 months or less is pretty much the rule.
And what about the extra land? Do you have
The extra
plans
land,
for that?
He purchased this because that's pretty much what it was. I mean, we have no intentions of going, there's a beautiful pond right there behind the office. We have no intentions of going any further than that. The land's not usable. I mean, there's thousands of trees that would have to be cleared off, and it's wetlands, kind of marshy stuff
Okay.
back there. That's realistically the only part of the property that's even usable, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And again, if you go back to the satellite, we are pretty far off of Majelica, riding up and down there. You'd never know that, there was 100 cars back there. So
Okay, thanks.
pretty, yeah. Any other? Okay.
All right, we will now have a legislative hearing, so we're going to open the floor. We do have one person signed up to speak, John Scarborough. John, welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners of Rowan County. My name is John Scarborough. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Scarborough and Scarborough PLLC in Concord. My law practice focuses primarily on land use and zoning law. I represent land developers, builders, landowners. I represent one municipality in Cabarrus County and one in Stanley County. I'm here tonight on behalf of Oakland Meadows NC LLC, which owns the manufactured home community adjoining Mr. Good's property. Earlier, I handed some documents to the clerk, which have been passed out, and they include 2 satellite images from Google Earth for you to review. The first is from January 23rd, 2021, before Mr. Good purchased this property. The second satellite image was taken March 29th, 2024. After the county issued the notice of violation for the over 100 junked cars on the property. Those images are to give you an idea of the substantial increase in cars being stored on the property. It is now being said that 200 or 250 cars may be stored on the property if this rezoning is granted. But I heard, as the planner stated, that the property owner would be able to fill it up with as many cars as they can fit in there. There are currently 69 lots occupied in the Oakland Meadows community. So you also have before you a petition opposing this rezoning signed by 50 of the residents of Oakland Meadows. I sent a letter to the board last Monday, August 11th, and it's in the agenda packet. I'd like to use some of my time to read the letter into the record. And only excerpts, not the entire letter.
Hey, will you pull your mic down just a tad?
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
My client vigorously opposes Mr. Good's application for rezoning, as well as the current state of Mr. Good's property, on which there are situated over 100 junked motor vehicles. According to the staff report on the rezoning, Mr. Good received a notice of zoning violation from the county sometime in early 2024 for the current use of his property. Nevertheless, Mr. Good is requesting a rezoning which will allow him to increase the number of cars stored on his property to 200 to 250 cars at one time. The purpose of this letter is to urge you not to approve this rezoning and to outline my client's position that an approval of Mr. Good's application would constitute unlawful spot zoning. North Carolina Supreme Court has defined spot zoning as follows. A zoning ordinance or amendment, and this would be an amendment, which singles out and reclassifies a relatively small tract owned by a single person and surrounded by a much larger area uniformly zoned, so as to impose upon the small tract greater restrictions than those imposed upon the larger area, or so as to relieve the small tract from restrictions to which the rest of the area is subjected, is called spot zoning. An approval of Mr. Good's application would fall squarely within this definition. Mr. Good is asking you to rezone a small tract of land, 7 acres, under his single ownership. The surrounding area is uniformly comprised of residential zoning districts, including my client's manufactured home community and a planned 94-lot subdivision adjoining Mr. Good's property to the north. As the staff report recognizes, the predominant land use fronting Majelica Road is single-family residential. In addition, Mr. Good's property is included in Area 2 of the county's Western Area Land Use Plan. The purpose of the Area 2 classification is to encourage medium-density residential development in this area. The rezoning of Mr. Good's property from RA to CBI-CD would not be consistent with the county's land use plan. It is also clear that the sole purpose of Mr. Good's rezoning request is to relieve him and his property from the county's zoning restrictions for residential districts. The property is already in violation of the county's ordinance, and a notice of violation has been pending for over a year. Since this rezoning would undoubtedly constitute spot zoning, the normal presumption of validity accorded to legislative rezonings would not apply. Instead, the board would need to make a clear showing of a reasonable basis for the spot zone. My client does not believe this is possible under these circumstances. The zoning authority, and this is the Supreme Court, the zoning authority must demonstrate that the change was reasonable in light of its effect on all involved. Supreme Court's benefits versus detriments test cannot be satisfied for Mr. Good's proposed rezoning. The key question is who benefits from this rezoning? A spot zoning amendment which greatly benefits the owner but has no real and substantial benefit to the community or has an accompanying detriment is invalid. I'm going to go to the staff report. And as you know, you have to find whether this application is consistent or inconsistent with the comprehensive land use plan. It's inconsistent. And then the reasonableness statement. And this is of paramount importance for this rezoning because it is a spot zoning. And in the staff report, it lists the five items to be considered. The size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area proposed to be rezoned. In general, the smaller the lot, the more likely the rezoning will be invalid. This is a small lot for the rural, agricultural area of the county. Spot zonings are generally considered reasonable when they fit into an existing land use plan. This does not fit into the existing land use plan. 2, the benefits and detriments to the landowners, the neighbors, and the surrounding community. Spot zoning that is beneficial to the community may be considered reasonable. Benefits should be substantial to the surrounding community and not just generally beneficial. You've heard no one from the community say that this is beneficial for the community. It's not. It's beneficial for Mr. Good. Classic spot zoning. It's not a substantial benefit for anyone except Mr. Good's business. 3, the relationship between the current actual and permissible development on the tract and adjoining areas, and the development that would be permissible under the proposed amendment. Spot zoning may be considered reasonable when the allowed uses in the new zoning district are not radically different from the current allowed uses. You saw the chart earlier that showed the allowed uses in the RA district, and they were largely for rural home occupation. This is not rural home occupation. It's for a business. Also, under the county's ordinance, the RA district is the third least restrictive in the hierarchy of districts, whereas the requested rezoning to this commercial district is one of the least restrictive. 4, why the action taken is in the public interest. You have no evidence before you tonight that this is in the public interest. And 5, any change conditions warranting the amendment. I want to go back to 3, conditions required in a conditional district rezoning that mitigate harm to neighbors may be used as justification for the rezoning. This is an excellent staff report. That's the one item I have a little bit of a quibble with. And so I'm afraid that this will be presented to you as a conditional district rezoning, and somehow that will exempt it from the spot zoning analysis. It does not. Simply attaching conditions to a rezoning, whether or not the conditions mitigate harm to neighbors, does not change the spot zoning analysis. The key question is not, has the harm to the neighbors been mitigated as much as possible? The question for spot zoning is, does the rezoning have substantial benefits for the neighbors and surrounding community? There's been no showing of any benefit to the surrounding community. Also, the conditions simply a fence, and then that cars be kept for a maximum of 6 months. I don't know how that is possible to enforce. There have been cars on the property for much longer than 6 months. There hasn't been an environmental impact study done. We've got, a gas pipeline running through the property, and this zoning would allow the property owner to fit as many cars as possible, junked motor vehicles largely, onto the property. The conditions, aren't sufficient to take it out of a spot zoning analysis, but they aren't sufficient to mitigate any harm either. So my client and I respectfully request that the board deny this rezoning. I'll answer any questions you might have.
I have a question. When did your client start his mobile home business there?
I'm sorry?
When did your client start his mobile home business at that location?
We're gonna need them to come and to the front and answer.
That was Dan Perez. He's the regional community manager.
Well, the problem is people can't hear, other people can't hear. We can hear him in here, but they can't hear on TV. Just hang tight, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and answer that again.
Speaking to the-
We're recording.
Oh, yeah, sure, no
pub-
problem.
Public information.
The mobile home community's been there since the 70s, and our company, Parkland Ventures, have taken it over back in 2011.
I do want to point out one last thing, is that it seems that before Mr. Good purchased this property, it was being used as a rural home occupation. So the automotive use was in compliance for that reason. This is a commercial business.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Scarborough? All right?
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah, we have more questions.
Chairman, one matter, just for clarification, if we need some follow-up from a previous speaker, if you want to come forward, you can speak. You come, please come to the microphone.
Mr. Good's out of town, and I didn't know we were doing lawyers and stuff tonight. I mean, is there a way to reschedule this, or have a way for him to actually be here to have an input on this since it affects his business?
We'll have to decide if we want to table or not.
I mean, we were under the impression at the last meeting that it was pretty much, you know, cut and dry. We were just waiting for one more approval. I didn't know we still had a back and forth kind of thing going on here. So, I mean, since he's not here to answer any questions or, you know, provide his attorney, I don't know if there's a way to reschedule this for another evening possibly.
Well, to be fair to him, yes, because we're ready to plow ahead. But we also want to be fair to him. And so we would not table it. We would just call this a recess. We would recess till the next meeting.
Okay.
So we can do that, commissioners, if you like.
My only concern is Commissioner Cassidy. He would get to the next meeting.
I understand that. I kind of feel like the public interest.
Yeah, if the question is whether Mike, Commissioner Caskey, I'm not familiar with the schedules and who's doing what, but we can manage a commission change to resume that hearing, and he can watch it on TV and get up to speed and come and sit and participate in it. If that's the board's inclination, is to table it until, or not to table it, but to recess the public hearing, then we can do that. We just need to fix a date certain for it.
I'm willing to do that. I know that you guys probably want a resolution to this. We do too. We don't want this coming back again. We'd just soon dispose of, be done with the case, but if they had attorney here and you didn't, or you weren't able to be here, we would do the same for you. And so I move that we go into recess on this case, and we'll take it up at the September 2nd meeting. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Mr. Powers, how you doing? Great. Good.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Good evening.
Evening. With us today is ADW Architects. They have worked on some designs throughout the Rowan Community Center. They're presenting two of those to you tonight. One is for the main concourse, and second, they will be presenting on a storage building that's being done in the back of the agricultural area. Main concourse design was originally slated just to kind of help match the new areas that was already renovated during the renovation part of the event center in the ag area. So with us tonight is Philip Steele and Darian Walker.
Good evening. Talk here. All right. Good evening, Chair, Commissioner, and the Commissioners. We're excited to give you an update on these two projects. The first one that Darren's going to discuss is
Hey,
the...
Philip,
Yes.
one thing before you get started. Can you explain where so you've got several task orders, but one you're not presenting on tonight is the J.C. Penney's and Register of Deeds.
That's right. So
Okay.
we're currently still working with Register of Deeds Department, and we're also working with the City of Salisbury Land Development and Utilities. We're meeting with them tomorrow to go through the existing facility and to start to create a program of space needs, of how much square footage they actually need in that space. So we're currently still continuing working on that project.
So what he's getting ready to present is going to complete everything out there except the J.C. Penney
That's correct.
building.
Yep. So Darren's going to discuss the, again, the Rowan Community Center interior concourse designed. You have not seen that yet, so we're excited to show you that. And then we've been working with Nick and his team on the exterior signage
around the mall area, the community center area, and we're going to kind of show you that. We'll follow that up with a budget, and then we'll go into, if you don't have any questions on that, but then we'll go into the storage facility, the agricultural center that Amy and Lynn wants, kind of behind the building. It's a pre-engineered building, and we're working on that as well. You can kind of see a 3D rendering of that, and then we will have a cost estimate on that for you as well to discuss. And so I'll just kind of turn that over to Darian. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to interrupt our presentation. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Darian Walker, architect over at ADW. So I'm going to walk you first through the monument signs and the signs for the exterior. The signage is in Salisbury zoning, so we're limited to basically one sign per street frontage, less than 400 linear feet of street frontage. 50% of that sign can be digital. The other two entrances over to the Rowan Community Center can have a directional sign, which is a smaller 6 square foot sign. And then we've got some directional signage also around. So this is sort of the site plan where we've got the directional signage and the two monument sign locations, and then the red dots are sort of wayfinding signage around the site. The materials that we're using are sort of the same materials that are used on the building, sort of tie the two together. This is just the directional sign. It's very small, 6 square foot sign. It can be internally illuminated, so it'll just show that there's a entry from that street. And then this is the main signage, monument sign. That's one on each road frontage, closest to the intersection. We have basically the stone there, and then we've got the digital signage to the right that'll be closest to the street edge.
You can kind of see this.
I'm glad to see y'all incorporated all my ideas.
They were all great ideas.
But you can kind of see the scale from the person next to it, how large it is. Because the biggest thing is when cars are driving down, you want to give them some kind of identity, branding for the complex. And again, there will be two, one on the one side and one on the other side of the street.
Any questions? So the sign's also double-sided as well. This is an example of the wayfinding signage. That'll be sort of sprinkled throughout the site. There's all the red dots that are shown on the prior illustration. That covers signage. Any questions with signage? Okay, I'm going to go into the concourse. So the scope of this project is really to
We've
take
got
over.
some leftover plans from an I-85 sign we were talking about a decade ago. Might be a tad much.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a whole.
So
Can't believe I brought it up.
Where it covers the interior of the main concourse. So this is sort of the connector fabric that runs through the main concourse, connecting all the tenant spaces, et cetera. So part of that concourse has already been renovated. So we wanted to, which is up in the upper left-hand corner, that's an image there of the renovated concourse. We wanted to take some of that language that's in the existing concourse and sort of expand upon it, creating an area of well-being sort of in the space, as well as play off of what's already currently there, what we've already renovated. So this is just a finished floor plan showing the finishes, how they've sort of been laid out in the first phase, and how we're sort of just extending that out throughout the rest of the phase. The biggest impact that we're making is sort of right here in the center of the concourse. This area has two areas that are elevated right now, 1980s, 1970s sort of architectural style. The one in the lower corner has a raised platform for dining area, and then the upper one has a fountain and all that stuff. So all of that's coming out. We're pulling all that out, all getting leveled out with new concrete sort of poured in those areas. And then what we're trying to do is we're create an area of well-being that's bringing the outside sort of into the space, and also a space that can be utilized from all the departments that are sort of spread throughout the concourse, or in the Rowan Community Center. A place that people can break out to, they can meet at. It could also be movable furniture that comes and goes, right? So we're basically trying to set up a language that sort of has mall walkers and everyone sort of maneuvering around and sort of through these things. So on the bottom left, or the bottom area, this is sort of what we've designated as maybe future dining area opportunities. There are some existing hoods, kitchen equipment, et cetera, that are still existing in some of these tenant spaces that could be brought over by or taken over by another future tenant, and then that dining space could sort of spill out in that space. We've got meeting spaces, we've got ideation spaces, we've got picnic spaces, lounging spaces, lawn spaces, and then we've got sort of an information and mail kiosk area up there in that one corner. This is an axon of the space. We wanted to leave it very open, so visually open so you can see through the space, but also spaces that you can sort of meet and gather with others. So what you're seeing is we're trying to bring in a lot of biophilic elements without having, grow lights and irrigation and all that other stuff. So there's these lights, these light elements that we're bringing in, as well as some tree elements. Both of them are made out of felt that have lighting integrated, and then sort of these rain, sort of appearance of sort of rain coming down from the ceiling is a chain curtain. Another image looking towards the wall. Some of the picnic areas, breakout ideation spaces in the background. And then from the other side. It on that. So the cost of that is we've got about $4.7 million for the concourse renovations. Exterior signage is about $700,000. Subtotal construction cost is about 5.5 with an owner contingency of 406,000. That roughly brings up the total construction cost to about 5.8 million. And then total project construction cost is around 6.5. Any questions associated with the concourse, or you may go back any? No? Okay.
I don't think we want to.
All right, so the other project that we're presenting is the, this is going to be fairly quick. So it's the ag storage warehouse that's located behind the ag center. So this is behind the mall course. It's basically this red dot here. And so that is the main storage building. The buildings adjacent to it that are dashed in are future greenhouse area and also a future just a shade structure. And then we've got 2 handicap parking spaces integrated, and then a dumpster location, and then basically 4 loading docks. You've got 3 bays on the front, overhead doors. They're 12 by 12 overhead doors, overhead coiling doors, and then 1 to the east here, and then just a door out the front. Security lights around the perimeter, all on motion sensors except for the ones going north, mainly because there's a residential neighborhood adjacent to us, behind us. We've got some large fans, skylights, just to cut down on energy use. And then basically it's a pre-manufactured building with an R-panel skin, single slope pitch roof so that potentially they could add rainwater harvesting in the future on the back.
What was the ceiling height?
The ceiling height in that space is, it's completely open. The back of the space, so these are 12 by 12 doors. The back of the space is around, I want to say something around 17 feet. But the clearance is roughly about 12 feet towards the back. The construction for the whole project is around, total project construction cost is around $670,000. That includes $154,000 for the pre-engineered building system, about another, so the building is not, it's heated, but it's not air conditioned. Very little insulation as well, so there's about $78,000 for heating and electrical work in there. We don't have any, we're not including any water, so no sanitary or domestic water. And then site and foundations, another $162,000. And then another $200,000 of miscellaneous stuff, door, hardware, fees, permitting, general conditions, cleaning, profit, stuff like that. Yeah. And total construction estimates around $600,000.
Can you go back one slide?
Absolutely.
And give me the building dimensions on that again.
Yeah, building dimensions. Ooh, here we go. It's roughly, I want to say 72 feet by 78 feet. Yeah. Oh, total square footage is right around 3,200 square feet, I'm going to say. It's not that much.
It can't be 70 feet by 70 feet.
No,
It'd
it's
be
not.
3,200 square feet.
It's, let me zoom in real quick.
No.
Zoom in right. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I thought I had some overall dimensions. I'll add these up real quick. It's roughly 78 feet. By 40.
2,900 square feet.
2,800 square feet. 40 by 70 feet. Thank you. Outside to outside.
So, for the board, I know this is the first time that you've seen both of these, and what we'll do is, you know, we're not asking the board to make a decision tonight. It's just to keep you apprised of the direction we're going and how things are progressing. What we'll do is email out both of these PDFs in hopes to get some feedback. If we don't receive any feedback, we'll assume that everyone is okay with both projects, and particularly the first one. If we don't receive any feedback on the design, you're kind of okay with the general design, or if you want another color, or if you want, you know, another price, another theme, we'll just ask the architects to do another one. But if we don't hear anything back within a couple months, we'll bring before the board a decision to proceed, you know, to finalize this and eventually would be going out to bid.
Can you remind us, I'd asked Jim, I feel like we got a letter from the ag folks that they were going to contribute some money to this. Was it that project?
This is the project Amy's been talking about.
Yeah, we put some money into this last, maybe 2 years ago. I don't remember about this year if we put more money in.
Right, so yeah, there was $100,000 in the 25 budget, maybe 24, but I think 25 that we didn't spend, for a storage building. So, but it has, right.
For the other building. Greenhouse, at a senior moment. So I know that they do have money for the greenhouse, and I knew we had given them at least $100,000 at one point in time. But, anyway, could you make sure you give us some dimensions, because it is not 70 by, or 40 by 17. It's 40 by 17. 70 by 72. Okay. All right, I'm sorry, I just misheard you, I guess. But Craig, how many people are going to be storing stuff? Right now, how much stuff will you think you'll have in there? I don't think,
How many pontoon boats?
None.
Yeah, we would need one bay for our lawn equipment, some other items there that we have now. But Amy Lynn's group would need the majority. They need 2/3 of the building for their various equipment that they have.
And she realizes this,
Yeah, yeah.
that you're going to take that much of it.
Yes, that was the whole from the beginning when we talked about all the needs for on-site.
You're not going to have chairs all over the rest of it.
No.
And forestry needs some of the space too.
Yeah. So it's going to be just a big, large space for everybody to kind of share. That's why it's open.
So we're doing our own landscape maintenance?
Partial. We have contracted out a landscaping crew to assist every 7 days, 1 day a week. And then our crew supplements that with various things, weed control and litter pickup, pruning when needed.
Not mowing?
We do. We will mow when we need to, depending on the weather. If water, if rain and sun really causes everything to pop up, then we'll jump on it to try to control it.
Are we doing that now?
Mm-hmm.
So where's the equipment come from to do that?
It's, you know where the bathrooms are at?
Okay, so it's out there.
Yeah, but you know where the bathrooms are at in the middle? You walk down that hall, there's like a little maintenance part.
So we're storing lawn equipment inside?
Yes.
Our maintenance team is kind of crammed in there. They're all their tools, lawn equipment, it's just kind of all jammed in there.
And then what, the ag folks, what kind of equipment do they have that they're going to be putting?
They have, right now, the soil,
Tractor, trailer.
soil and water has a drill that they put in there. And there's some other equipment that they want to go in there. I can just tell you from personal experience, you can't build buildings big enough. Because especially if you get 3 different organizations or 4 that are going to put stuff in there, it's going to get filled up in a hurry.
You better get your boat in there soon, Greg. So this isn't the project that we thought would be a couple $100,000.
No.
I thought,
We hoped
we hoped it would be that price. It's the same project.
What, that was when we were trying to get John Jansick to come out and put the building up for nothing.
My son just built a 40 by 80 metal building.
This site has a little bit of site challenge where it's at. We're a little bit constrained where the pull-through, the access in the back of the building, plus there's a gas main running to the new health department runs along behind us. Kind of boxed in, and there's some elevation changes. That's as much as the building itself. It's the site work. Very
It's just
profit, whatever else we might get on it.
Where's, is ag stuff still out at the old ag building sitting outside?
Yeah, some of it, yeah. Last time I saw the drill anyway, that's where it was at.
Is the board okay with that, generally with the concept of emailing it out and kind of waiting a month or two to see what type of feedback we get?
Yeah, you'll get some feedback. Guarantee there'll be feedback.
Yeah, just to add to that, if you could give us some feedback in a couple weeks would be excellent, because we want to continue working on the project. Darian and his team are making great headway on both projects, and our professional cost estimator came up with these cost estimates. So we just need to say, hey, we like it, and we'll continue working on it, finish it up, and then bid the project out.
So back to the inside, we know where that common wall is, and now that's been opened up. Does the remodel start there and go all the way down to the end?
It does.
So that's all the rest of it.
Yeah, and there's some restrooms down there. We had to increase them for occupant load. So those are part of the project, which is right there. So this is really the end of the mall that we worked on last year, where that wood partition is at. So that'll be removed. Floor tile's the same. I'm sorry, this is right here. Sorry. The floor tile's the same. So we're just continuing that same design. It's a little bit different, like Darren was talking about, because this is kind of the center concourse of the entire mall.
That's the old food court there.
It is, yep. And then we'll take it all the way out to the other entry here.
Everything in gray is sort of out of scope. Like Philip mentioned, we're gonna have to remodel the bathrooms as well. So this family restroom will get, that one will actually get combined into a family restroom, and then these will get expanded out. Need their revised plumbing count. Not because, mainly because the code has been drastically changed.
You got a problem with the 80s?
Born in the 80s.
Now you're bragging.
The picture that, no.
The rendering?
Yeah, so those green things
Those are chairs.
in the sky, or
The what?
the green things in the sky and the,
Yeah.
They're substitutes
So-
for trees.
yeah. What type of maintenance or cleaning do they have?
No more than normal of anything else. So these are felt panels, like thicker sort of felt pieces.
So they're not self-cleaning?
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately not. These are examples of sort of that tree piece here in green, and then these are in white, green color.
It also helps with acoustics a little bit too.
If what?
It also helps with acoustics a little bit.
Also, keep in mind too that the furniture that's placed in here is all placeholders. Nor lighting, to be honest. So lighting is still being refined. These will be a little bit more decorative. Use sort of the same lighting language throughout. Yes, so HVAC is part of this. I'm sorry. So yes, HVAC is part of this, so, part of the scope of work is upgrading all the HVAC, because all the HVAC for the main concourse would need to be replaced. It's towards the end of its life, and then also it needs to be upsized a little bit, because we're taking all the other tenant spaces that have, roll-up doors or security grills, et cetera, we're moving those and then putting in a storefront system. So that's ready for a future tenant, and sort of that space is sort of blocked off from the public use.
And does your numbers include the furniture and fixtures?
Yes, I think we threw $350,000 in there for furniture. Oh, I'm sorry.
Where it says owner soft costs and designer fees at $754.
Perfect, yep.
Furniture's in there.
Okay.
The 350.
Go back to your picture and let's make sure the public knows that those aren't putting greens, putting in there. One more picture, I think. One more, yep. Not sure what that is, but
It's a AstroTurf. So it's a synthetic AstroTurf.
not a putting green.
Can you chip on it?
You can chip into the green things in the sky.
See which one we can hit.
All right, any other questions for them? All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was nice to see some color come in there.
Anna?
So,
Oh.
Jamie.
Hey!
I added it to the agenda, so it's under my
Okay.
name, but Jamie's here to present.
Hello, Jamie.
How are you?
Who'd you make mad? You got to be last.
I don't see it up here.
Yeah.
You never received it. Okay. It was sent.
Give us just a second. Anything you want to talk about?
Give me a topic. Yes, sir. If not. That's where I grabbed it.
IT guy. Thanks, Randy.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. Jamie Durant with Rowan Salisbury Schools, here to present tonight a surplus property request. We've had some interest in the community. Interest in the community with the property that we own on Zion Street. That's at the Courier Light Building. This building was built in the 1930s. It's been sitting vacant since approximately about the past 25 years. And we took it to the board. Rowan Salisbury School Board declared it surplus in 2020. We brought it to the commissioners in 2021 in February, and it was tabled at that time. So I did not present it at that point, but it has been brought to me to bring forward to you. General statute requires us to bring it to you to declare that surplus. Like I said, it was tabled at that time, and it's currently vacant for Rowan Salisbury Schools. That's the property that sits across from the school building currently, and requesting that you declare that property is surplus at this time so we can move forward with the interested parties.
Is that the old football stadium?
Across from it.
Across from it? Back toward Center Street?
Yes.
Or whatever the name is.
So, what you're asking for, I understand, is kind of our right of first refusal. Do we want it? If not, if we wanted it, we'd have to buy it from you, right? Even though we already bought it.
If you want it, my understanding is you can declare it yours.
It says market value.
Huh?
It says market value.
So if we decline it, then you guys put it up for sale for the highest bidder.
We would go through a upset bid process, since we do have two individuals that are interested in it.
So you do have two. I wonder if this is why we tabled it the last time.
How big is that area?
The building itself is just over 29,000 square feet.
And you know the lot size?
Just under an acre.
It's under an acre?
Just under, I think it's .93.
Jay, if we say we want it, then what do we do with it? Do we have to put it up for upset bid?
Yes, unless it's an economic development project that you could do by a private sale. But just to be clear, under 115C 518, if you want to exercise this right, it's at market value or a price negotiated between you and the school system. And I'm assuming if they think they have offers already on the table, that number's going to be somewhere around those offers right there. Or you get to take it and dispose of it, or insure it, demolish it, whatever you need to do. But yes, our process would be by public bid or economic development by private sale. But yeah,
So for argument's sake, if a municipality was interested in it, they're still gonna go through a bid.
no, there are exemptions for transfers to nonprofits and other municipalities. We've done that for the town of East Spencer. Trying to think, most recently it was the town of East Spencer, we've done transfers to them.
Agreement.
Right, but we can transfer to them for free.
Well, them.
Hmm?
I mean, if we just say we don't want it, and they keep it, but then they want to dispose of it, which I would imagine they desperately want to, do they have the same ability to work with a municipality?
I don't know that. I don't know the school board rules.
You know what I'm getting. Any advice here, council?
No, I'm just saying, yes, if you exercise your right,
We're gonna have to buy it.
you're gonna have to negotiate with the school
Is
system.
that your understanding? Because you said we can just take it, but it doesn't sound like that's the case.
I need to double check. I thought if we declared it surplus, then you had the option to move forward with the bill. Am I correct?
Well, I can,
Okay.
Which doesn't make
I'm
sense
reading,
to
I'm
me.
reading
we-
I'm reading the statute. Yeah. And the statute says it shall offer the property to the Board of Commissioners at fair market price or at a price negotiated between the two boards. So it could be free from them to you.
Yeah, it sounds, think about where you work at a central office. For whatever reason, y'all decide you don't want to be there anymore, and you'd offer it to us. We've already paid for it once, right? And then we gave it to you. And now statute says we have to buy it from you a second.
Or negotiate.
And, well,
There's still that loophole.
I can tell you that that's where this is broken down for 20 years. I've been the county attorney. That's where it breaks down, is that fundamental argument that we've already paid for it. But
I'm gonna move that we table this again. Well, hold on a second. The statute, okay. I don't think we need to have you come back, sit through a whole 2-hour meeting.
That works for me.
Come on, man. You know this is entertainment. I think I want some more information on this. I don't know what's going on in the background, so I'd like to make a motion to table this. To next meeting.
I'll second that.
Go ahead. No, he's already,
All right, he's seconding it now. Discussion?
I don't have any discussion.
No? Okay. All right,
Kind of curious who's interested.
yeah, I am. So I don't, I want to make sure that we've got control where we need to have it, and no control where we don't need to have it. I just want to get some clarification. Is that okay?
Have all the information in front of us.
All right, so we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
All
Thanks.
right, reach out if you have questions.
Thanks. We'll see you in 2 weeks. No, you. Yeah. Man. Sorry, Jamie. Really, we are, honestly.
Oh, congratulations, Jamie, on your boys' sign. Good kid. Could you do something about that?
I'm working on it. All right. All right. All right, so this is our current expenditures for July. So it's this little green dot down here at the bottom. So we are up $2.3 million over July of 25, or FY 25, so I guess that was July of 2024, or 20.72%. Okay, I didn't change the header on this. I promise that the numbers are correct. Apologize. So this is July's revenues. This should say July right here. So it's the dot again down here at the bottom. So revenues are down $626,000, or 30%. Not overly concerned about that this early in the budget year, but definitely we'll keep an eye on that and let you know if there's anything to be worried about. This is cumulative property taxes through June. They were up $3.4 million over the previous year, and that's 3%.
Can I ask
a
related but unrelated question? We went through revaluation.
Correct.
All of us in here had our property, or let's say our houses, valued.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have another revaluation coming up. Well, when is it? Next year?
So they have started, the contract has been awarded to start that process. We do reval every 4 years. So the reval was effective in the 24 budget, is that correct? Yes. So every 4 years, so the 28 budget would be when the next one's effective. But they're working on it now.
So in between revaluation periods, the property values change? Should know this.
So there's some natural growth, yes. On average, our natural growth has been roughly like 2%.
So I'm not talking about our overall.
Right.
The whole county's value. I'm talking about the value.
Like an individual home.
Value of my house.
No, they should not.
But it will if you sell your house and there's an increased value paid by home.
Right.
And it goes up.
Because now there's a new market value for that home, yes.
But conceivably, you know, the 99% of Rowan County citizens who live in a home that haven't sold it, have lived in the home for 30 years, their valuation at our last reval was $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
It should be $200,000 for the next 4 years. There's nothing increasing that.
Until that next reval happens.
the next
And they could
reval.
potentially go up or down, depending on the market.
And we're not changing tax rate.
Correct.
So your taxes should stay. There's two things. There's value and there's tax rate.
Right.
We don't change the tax rate. Tax value is staying the same. I talk about exceptions. What would make it change? I don't know what would make it change. But my tax rate should be the same as last year. Well, it's not.
Okay.
I want to check.
Let me talk to our assessor about that.
Yes. You call Chip at the house when we get in here? No, I had someone ask me that.
Okay.
And I said, tax rate should stay the same for 4 years, unless we change the tax rate.
To their house.
I get it, yeah, you add a
building or
barn, an
yeah.
outbuilding, something like that.
Sunroom, something like that.
All right.
Yeah, Daniel had a good point. The fire tax has changed.
Yes. Yes.
So that, yeah.
And almost at least about half of them went up, the fire taxes went up.
Fire
Yep.
tax, yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Gonna think about all the variables, right?
Yeah, thanks.
Chip appreciates that, Dave.
All right, so the next is cumulative sales tax. This number's through April. And it's up 2.2 million over the previous year, or 6.64%. Just a reminder, we budgeted this at $40 million. We budgeted no growth for next year. Just for some context, our FY23 final number was 43 million. FY24 was 41.9 million. So I think we're going to be slightly over the 40 million, but I don't think we're going to be as high as, I think we're going to fall somewhere in between those two, the 23 and 24 number, by the time all those come in. So looking at the, just the month of April, it's the purple, so it is up over the previous Aprils by $618,000, or 19%.
Yeah, I let her have a new credit card.
Then, all right. So then, lastly is the investment report through June 30th of, really slack this time. I didn't change all my dates. I apologize. So this is through June 30th, and as of, I think, June 30th, our total interest was $9.6 million that we earned this year between investments and our bank, our checking and bank accounts, savings accounts. So, and then here's the breakdown on what we earned on treasuries is 2.8. So total interest was 12. I'm sorry, but that's just bank. This is agencies, and total is 12.5 on everything.
That is still unbelievable.
Yeah. So the capital management trust has still got a higher interest rate than I can get currently on treasuries and agencies, but I have started with buying some treasury and agencies because that should start coming down, the capital management trust rate. And if you buy those agencies, you know you're going to hold that rate for the length of that investment. So trying to do a little bit of both to maximize that interest as much as possible.
Do you do this investment, or do we have, I'm just trying to get at the point, do we have to pay a fee on this?
No, I do, yeah, we're not paying fees on the investments, yes. Other than our normal bank charges that we have, but on the treasuries and agencies, no, I buy those.
Now, there is a fee with the capital management trust fund.
Correct, yes.
Just like any mutual fund or index fund.
Like any kind of bank account would have to. But we don't have anybody like doing that kind of work for us. No.
So 2 more, are you done?
Yes.
2 more months and we'll kind of have a good picture of 23, 24, 25.
Yeah, so 2 more months of the sales tax. That's what's still left to come in, and we should know for sure where the revenues come in at.
All right, any questions? Could you give me a closed session? All right, I move that we go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A1 to consider approval of the minutes of the closed session held on July 21st, and pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A6 for personnel.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's
All right, we are, we've come out of closed session. We have, need to vote to come out of closed session. Motion to come out of closed session.
make a motion.
In a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have one action item. On April 7th, 2025, we dealt with an item with Health Director Alyssa Harris on a stipend to be paid. She's working on her PhD for Health Director. And so we just want to change a word in there. It makes a big difference. And it is, we're going to change the word from stipend to tuition reimbursement. So I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Will we adjourn?
I would like to make a motion that we adjourn and go the heck home.
All right, we have a motion, second.
And second
All
that.
right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, y'all have a good week.